Hello everybody, this is Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a battle between the two Innistrad Midnight Hunt Commander decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. On the left we have Coven Counters, and on the right we have Undead Unleashed. We'll be using their alternate commanders, which are Kylie over here and Eloise over here, just to try them out, because the Horde is usually the easier of the three challenge decks. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty and then on hard mode. And for these games we'll be using three hero cards. The first one is the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The second one is the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And finally the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. Because we only have one copy of each of these cards, we're going to apply them to both decks simultaneously. Go ahead and get started by drawing our opening hands. Counters draws a Forest, Plains, Lifecrafters Bestiary, Abzan Falconer, Herald of War, Plains, Verdurous Gearhulk, and Sungrass Prairie. It's a little slow, but I think we can keep this one. Unleashed draws a Myriad Landscape, Rooftop Storm, Gizon Giralf, Sunken Hollow, Aetherspouts, Diregraph Captain, Ravenous Rotbelly, and a Choked Estuary. This is also a slow start, but I think we're going to keep it as well. Because in multiplayer, we'll start our first turn by drawing a card. Counters draws Knight of the White Orchid. Undead Unleashed draws an island. Counters will play 2 plains. Undead Unleashed will play a Choked Estuary. This is a land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal an island or a swamp from your hand. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap for black or blue, and we have an island in our hand, as well as a Sunken Hollow. Go ahead and then play the island. Counters will tap the plains and cast the Knight of the White Orchid. This is a 2/2 human knight with first strike. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for plains, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. The Horde does not have any lands, so we're just playing as a 2/2 first strike, but that's fine right here. We'll have 2 more turns before the Horde attacks. At the end of this turn, we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Swiftfoot Boots, and we will discard the Swiftfoot Boots. Undead draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Rooftop Storm. Counters draws an Orzhov Advocate. Undead draws a Zombie Apocalypse. Next we will play a Forest over here, and a Sungrass Prairie. It's a land. You can pay 1 and tap it to add green and white. Counters will spend 3. And cast the Lifecrafters Bestiary. This is a artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1, and whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green if you do draw a card. Undead plays a Swamp, and then plays a Sunken Hollow. This is an island swamp, and it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. There are 2 basic lands. We'll tap 4, cast Gizon Giralf. This is a 4/4 legendary human wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. During each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature spell from your graveyard. We mill a Crowded Crypt, empty the Laboratory, Mortuary Mire, and Spark Reaper. We'll go to combat and attack with the Knight of the White Orchid. Then we'll go to our third turn. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Temple of the False God. And we will discard the Orzhov Advocate. Undead draws an Arcane Signet, and we will discard the Zombie Apocalypse. Coming counters will scry the plains to the bottom. Counters draws a Myriad Landscape. Undead draws an Eternal Skylord. Counters will play a Temple of the False God. It's a land. You can tap for 2 colors. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. We do. We'll also play the Myriad Landscape. This is a land. In its battlefield tapped, tap for colors. Pay 2, tap, sacrifice it to search your library for up to 2 basic land cards to share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. Undead will play a Myriad Landscape as well. We'll pay 5 and play the Herald of War. This is a 3/3 angel with flying, and when it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Angel spells and human spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each +1/+1 counter on it. We'll tap the Force to use the Bestiary trigger to draw. We draw a Bestial Menace. We'll spend 5 To cast our commander, this is Eloise Nephalia Sleuth, a 4/4 legendary human rogue, and whenever another creature controlled dies, investigate, and whenever you sacrifice a token, surveil 1. We'll go to combat and swing with our non-summoning sick cards. And then we'll go to the Horde. The Horde will cast their top 3 cards. We have a Vitality Salve. At the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. When it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. Then we have a Minotaur Younghorn. It's a 2/2 Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. Finally, we have a Massacre Totem. At the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card when it is put into a graveyard from anywhere. Put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. Will be attacked by the Minotaur Younghorn, which will just be blocked by Eloise and die. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Forest, and we will discard the Abzan Falconer. Undead draws a Dread Horde Invasion, and we will discard the Eternal Skylord. We'll scry and put the Biogen upgrade on the bottom. Counters draws a Bastion Protector. Undead draws a Swamp. We'll play the Swamp. We'll play the Forest. We'll spend 5 and cast the Verdurous Gearhulk. This is a 4/4 artifact construct with trample, and when it enters the battlefield, distribute 4 +1/+1 counters on any number of target creatures you control. We're going to put them all on the Herald of War, and then we'll spend 2 more mana to cast our commander. This is Kylie's Guardian Emissary. It's a 2/2 legendary human cleric. And whenever another human enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Kylie. And other human creatures you control get +1/+1 for each counter on Kylie. And then we'll spend 1 more mana to cast the Bastion Protector. This is a 3/3 human soldier. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have indestructible. We will also put a counter on Kylie thanks to its ability, making the Protector a 4/4. Undead will tap 2 and cast an Arcane Signet. It's an artifact. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We'll spend 3 mana to cast the Diregraph Captain. This is a 2/2 zombie soldier with Death Touch, and other zombies you control get +1/+1. Then we'll spend 2 more mana to cast the Dread Horde Invasion. This is an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. Go to combat and attack with everything that can attack. We'll get a counter on the Herald of War. That is 18 damage. Hit an Altar of Mogus. It's an artifact. When it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. We also hit a Refreshing Elixir. It's an artifact. When it's put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. We'll gain 10 more life to go up to 50. Then we'll pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will cast the top 5 cards. We have a Reckless Minotaur. It's a 4/1 Minotaur with haste. Attacks each turn if able. At the beginning of the end step, destroy it. A Minotaur Goreseeker. It's a 3/turn Minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. A Minotaur Younghorn. A Minotaur Goreseeker. And an Unquenchable Fury. Sorcery. Each Minotaur can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. All of these are attacking. We can easily block 1 creature, so we'll just block 1 of the Goreseekers, and we'll take a total of 9 damage, taking us back up to 41. The Goreseeker will die. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Riders of Gavany, and then we will discard the Bestial Menace. Undead draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Swamp. We'll scry the Forest to the bottom. Undead gets a Zombie Army with 1 counter. We'll lose a life. Counters draws a Selesnya Sanctuary. Undead draws Liliana Depth's Majesty. Counters will tap 2 and cast the Riders of Gavany. This is a 3/3 human knight with vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Human creatures you control have protection against creatures of the chosen type. We'll choose Minotaurs, and we'll spend 1 green to draw a card. We drew a champion of Lambhold. We'll also put a counter on Highly. And I think here we go to combat. So we'll turn everything sideways. Herald of War gets a counter. That is 36 damage coming in. The Reckless Minotaur is also dead. We had a Plundered Statue. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Counters draws a Stalwart Pathfinder. Undead draws a Gleaming Overseer. Refreshing Elixir, so we'll gain 10 more life to go up to 50 again. Another Plundered Statue. Counters draws a Victory's Envoy. Undead draws a Cleaver Scab. That's it. Alright, now we just have to play enough creatures to block and trade or kill the 2 attacking creatures next turn. So we will spend 5 mana to cast the Ravenous Rotbelly. This is a 4/5 zombie horror. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice up to 3 zombies. When you sacrifice 1 or more zombies, each opponent sacrifices that many creatures. So we just have to sacrifice these 2 zombies. And then the Horde sacrifices their 2 Minotaurs, and the Midnight Hunt decks defeat the Horde with relative ease. We'll be right back for hard mode. Alright, it's time for hard mode. We will only have 2 turns before the Horde attacks. Counters draws a Wall of Mourning, Anok Bondkin, Swiftfoot Boots, Celestia Sanctuary, Forest, Plains, Command Tower, and Dearly Departed. It's not amazing, but I guess we can keep that. Undead draws a Empty the Laboratory, Island, Stitch Giralf, Exotic Orchard, Darkwater Catacombs, Ravenous Rotbelly, Hordewing Scab, and Bazooka Bob. We have 1 dead land because Exotic Orchard doesn't actually produce any lands, and nothing that actually comes down early, so I think that we will use our mulligan, and because this is multiplayer, we'll get 1 free mulligan. We have a Commander Sphere, Aether Spouts, Forgotten Creation, Death Baron, Liliana Death's Majesty, Command Tower, Hordewing Scab, and Empty the Laboratory. We can't keep it with 1 lander, so we're going to go down to 7. And now we have a Prowling Geistcatcher, Ghoul's Night Out, Temple of Deceit, Sunken Hollow, Curse of Unbinding, Path of Ancestry, Shadowkin, and Mortuary Mire. This is not a good hand because, again, there's nothing to really do early, but I guess we'll keep this and hope that we can get somewhere a little bit better with the looting effects and the Temple of Deceit. We'll take the Curse of Unbinding and stick this on the bottom. Coven Counters draws a Lifecrafter's Bestiary, and Undead draws a Swamp. Counters will play a Plains and a Forest. Tap them and cast the Ainok Bondkin. This is a 2/1 dog soldier with Outlast 1 and white, and each creature you control with +1/+1 counter on it has first strike. We'll play a Temple of Deceit here. It's a land that enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap it for blue or black. We'll scry the Swamp to the bottom. And then we'll also play the Sunken Hollow. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Plains, and we'll discard the Swiftfoot Boots. Undead draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Mortuary Mire. Counters draws a Riders of Gavany, and Undead draws a Butcher of Malakir. We'll go to combat and swing with the Ainok Bondkin. And then we'll play another Plains here, and the Command Tower. It's a land, and you can tap it for a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. With our 4 mana, we'll tap them all. And we'll cast the Riders of Gavany, naming Minotaurs. And then we'll play 2 more Swamps over here. We'll tap out and cast the Prowling Geistcatcher. It's a 2/4 human rogue, and whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile it. If the creature was a token, put a +1/+1 counter on Geistcatcher. When it leaves the battlefield, return each card exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. We don't have much else to do, so we'll pass to the Horde. The Horde casts a Consuming Rage. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Destroy that creature at the end of combat. We get a Minotaur Goreseeker and a Minotaur Younghorn. These are going to be attacking as 5/2 and 4/2. The Riders of Gavany are protected from minotaurs, so we'll go ahead and block the Gore Seeker. We'll take 4 from the Young Horn to go down to 36, and then both of these will die. And then the turn we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws a Soul Ring, and we will discard the Wall of Mourning. Undead draws a Havengul Runebinder, and we will discard the Ghoul's Night Out. Counters draws a Path of Ancestry. Undead draws an island. We'll play an island over here and a Path of Ancestry. This is land enters the battlefield tapped and tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent, to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. We'll spend 5. Cast our commander. Over here, we'll tap Plains to cast Soul Ring. It's an artifact you tap for 2 colorless. We'll play a Path of Ancestry here, and then we'll play the Celestia Sanctuary. It's a land it enters the battlefield tap. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. We will return the Plains, and then we'll tap out to cast our commander. We'll go to combat and swing with everything that can swing. That's for 7 damage. We have a Vitality Salve. While this is on the stack, we're going to use our Harvester. Counters will draw a Knight of the White Orchid, and we will discard the Dearly Departed. Undead will draw an island, and we will discard the Butcher of Malakir. And then we will trigger that and bring the Dearly Departed into the battlefield. This is a 5/5 spirit with flying. As long as it is in our graveyard, each human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. The Butcher of Malakir will also join the fight. This is a 5/4 vampire warrior with flying, and whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. And then we'll pass to the Horde. Horde casts a Phobos Reaver. It's a 2/3 minotaur with haste and attacks each turn if able. We also have another Phobos Reaver and a Unquenchable Fury. These 2 will attack. We will block it with the 2 humans here and the 2 big creatures here. That will defeat both of these easily. And then we'll end the Horde's turn. Counters draws a Plains. Undead draws an Unclaimed Territory. Counters will play a Plains. We'll tap 3 to cast the Lifecrafters Bestiary. Tap 2 to cast a Knight of the White Orchid. This will give a counter to Kylie. We'll tap the green to trigger the Lifecrafters Bestiary ability, but we'll scry using the Path of Ancestry first. We'll put the Stalwart Pathlighter on the bottom. We'll draw a Herald of War. Undead will play an island and an Unclaimed Territory. It's a land. As it enters, choose a creature type. You can tap for colorless or tap for 1 mana of any color. Spend it to only cast a creature of the chosen type. We'll choose Zombie. Let's go to combat and swing with everything that can attack for now. That's 25 damage. We hit a Massacre Totem. We also hit a Plundered Statue. Counters draws a Forest. Undead draws an Eternal Skylord. We hit a Refreshing Elixir. We'll gain 10 life to go up to 46. Over here we'll spend 5 mana to cast the Eternal Skylord. It's a 3/3 zombie wizard. When it enters the battlefield, amass 2 zombie tokens you control have flying. Then we'll pass to the Horde. Refreshing Elixir. Minotaur Goreseeker. And a Touch the Horde Guard. Whenever Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. This will attack, and it'll be blocked by the Knight of the White Orchid, which has First Strike, so it'll defeat it without too much trouble. And then the turn we'll use the Harvester. Counters draws the Plains and discards the Plains. Undead draws a Swamp and will discard the Swamp. Counters draws a Forest. Undead draws a Curse of the Restless Dead. We missed a Scry trigger. Counters, we'll leave it on top. And then I think we have the win here, so we'll just attack with everything. That's 33 damage coming in. We hit an Altar of Mogus, nothing to sacrifice. A Plundered Statue. Counters draws an Audric. Undead draws a Swamp. And that is it. the Horde is defeated without much difficulty, even on hard mode. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.